So my approach to this began prior to the pandemic with a 100 level class that I was teaching quite regularly on global health and film. It's a real kind of general access first year pre-major programs type course. And I was especially struggling in that course to get students to just kind of orient themselves to like the most important aspects of like what the course was about and like what the important keys to their success were. And like many of you, I was frustrated that, you spend so much time building a syllabus before the quarter and then like no one reads it and no amount of incentivization. So I tried a lot of different kind of tools for like, hiding Easter eggs in your syllabus or like assigning the syllabus at the beginning of the quarter, like giving extra credit if someone, and I was still shocked by like how low the like engagement was with my syllabus. um at the same time, I also feel like there's an important thing that happens on the first day of an in-person class where you give students something that represents your class, and it tells them this is kind of how we're coming into this community. And for me in particular, the syllabus being something that is conveys really important values, but also is a negotiated, shared, collectively built sort of thing. So I try to really make sure that my syllabus, I present to students sort of a draft, and then we work together to kind of edit and collaborate on what we want that kind of final version of it to be in the first couple weeks of the course. So I started asking colleagues, like, how do you make your syllabus more interesting? I was really inspired by my colleague, Dan Bustillos, who does a lot of visual stuff with his courses. And he pointed me in the direction of Roz Chast's book, The Syllabus, which is just incredible. And working off of that, I started sort of looking for examples of graphic syllabi. I'm a very visual learner. I think in images, so it kind of made sense for me to try and work with this. So, um, I think I can share my screen here. So, this was one of the first ones that I came up with was for this course. And mostly what I was trying to do with the syllabus was just like make the most important information really visible to students and condense it and make it as like simple and clear and direct as possible. So I kind of almost always do a sort of what you need to know or like facts sort of thing on the front page of like what are the most important questions that students often have coming into this. Also here, just like on the first page, I'm like, I give you an extra credit point if you come to office hours, and I explain why. So particularly for a first year course, like it's really important for me that students, feel not just welcome, but incentivized to come meet with faculty. And then I was really trying to condense down not just like what the course is about, but like how we're going to learn things. So how are we going to practice this learning? What is kind of most important for you to focus on? I do include the learning goals here, but you can see they're kind of a just side component to these more visual images. I have another facts page, and then I really highlight here a participation panel. So one of the things that this course actually really works on is like, how do we teach participation as a skill to first and second year students? And so we do a lot of assignments that are actually like building up their skills in participation. And so I really wanted to highlight that for students. I usually try and do a sort of like how to get an A in this class, or like what are the things that I want you to be focusing on in order to achieve success. And then rather than giving students a whole schedule of like the entire quarter, which really they have on Canvas, like I don't necessarily think it has to be in a syllabus, I tried to give them a weekly schedule. And this is a sort of like pacing guide for the class. So here's what you should be doing on a Monday to get ready for class on Tuesday or whatever. And I found that was really helpful. And then this is probably my disciplinary bias of being in nursing and health, but I often have like very long sections of my syllabus that are like every possible resource that you could ever need, and students never read it. And then I put it on Canvas and they still don't read it, or they can't find it in the right places. And so I really wanted to just like highlight a bunch of different kinds of support services. And I think if I were going to do this again, I would make sure that these are hyperlinked so that students can like hyperlink straight to where they are. But this, I just wanted to kind of send the message to students of like, you have all this support, not just like you have to do all this research in order to get support. So this went over really well with my class. I really liked giving them something on the first day of class. It's like, hey, I put some effort into this, and like I want you to actually pay attention to this, and this is a low barrier thing for you to engage with. And I really liked some of the kind of universal design principles that I hope kind of went into it. So then I started doing that for upper level classes as well. So this is a syllabus that I did, very similar kind of format, that I did for another class. One of the things I'm trying to do here is like distill things as short as possible. So like maybe even too short. So like, you know, here I have these important policies, but what would be paragraphs in my syllabus, I'm condensing down to like a sentence or two. And I like that challenge. I think it's forced me to be a lot more cohesive in my messages for students. So I design these on Canva, and I have thoughts about that. So I think my own critique of this is that what you create on Canva is actually very inaccessible from a particular point of view, which is that getting this to be text to voice or text to audio read is difficult and requires a lot of work. And I typically will actually create another syllabus for my class that is text to audio readable and has a lot of the same messages, but just like reads more clearly. And so I'll make both of those available to students. The other challenge with Canva is that they're just constantly paywalling things. So unless you have a Canva account, like I will create a syllabus for a course one year, and then I go back to it the next year to edit on Canva, and like a bunch of little icons or things that I put in there are now no longer free, and so I have to like go and replace them and figure out you know, ways to recreate the content. So that's annoying. I think actually, based on conversations I've had with Todd, I would probably be moving a lot of these elements onto more of like a Google Sites, where they're more adaptable and more easily sort of accessible for students from a voice to text thing. But I do still like the idea of giving students something on the first day of class that's tactile. This is like probably just me and my way of thinking about what's important on the first day of class. The other thing I will say is I have had tremendous success with putting these kinds of syllabi onto sites like Perusal. And what I do is have an assignment that's a sort of syllabus collaboration assignment where students have to, so Perusal is like a communal reading site. So they can tag any piece of text, any part of what's there, and raise questions. They can say, I like this, I don't like this. I think, you know, I think there should be a smaller penalty for late work or whatever it is, you know. And we kind of use that to revise the syllabus in real time in the first week of class. And I've found that students actually do quite a bit of engagement with the syllabus through Perusal, more so than I would get just talking it through with them in class. So my big critique of this is that I have big accessibility concerns, but I also have, I think that's like one type of accessibility, but there's other types of accessibility that we can achieve with graphic and visual syllabi that really appeal to a range of different learning styles. And so I think there's some trade-offs there, and I would love to see better tools than Canva for doing this. And I do think that the new Google Sites is really adaptable and flexible for this. So those are my thoughts. Sorry, it's a lot less organized than Sarita's.